Hello, and thank you for taking the time to view our video on McKesson's implementation of ICD10 in Lytec 2014. My name is Adam Ziegler, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the enhancements you will see with Lytec 2014 for ICD10. First, I'd like to discuss in a little more detail the problems that ICD10 brings about. If only it was as simple as expanding the width of the diagnosis code field in Lytec, but as I'm about to show you, it is more complex than that. The first problem is that there's a lot more codes than there used to be. About 17,000 ICD-9 codes exist, and there's up to 155,000 ICD-10 codes possible. What does that mean? That means the codes themselves are going to be longer. Superbills are going to get longer. Assuming if you have a half page of your superbill devoted to diagnosis codes, you'll end up having a 7-page superbill. And of course, code lists will get larger. The other problems we're going to run into is that there's really no dual use period. There's a hard and fast switchover, which is planned for October 1st of 2014 based on the date of service of the claim. Not when you send the claim in, but the date of service. Also, some insurance carriers, such as workers' comp, motor vehicle accident, and maybe some Medicaids, are exempt or going to have a delayed implementation and will be non-compliant. And finally, there is not a 1-to-1 ratio of ICD-9s to ICD-10s. ICD-10s can often map back to ICD-9s, but not vice versa. An ICD-9 can't map directly to an ICD-10. Some instances require multiple ICD-10s to replace a single ICD-9. So, CMS is saying that providers should have 60 to 90 days of reserves built up. This is because of the increased likelihood of claim rejections. They're saying that it's going to go up 200 to 400%. The increased time required to code, which means you'll be able to see fewer patients a day, and because of staff retraining and technology upgrades that you'll need to implement. So let's take a look at Lytec's solution to the problems. First of all, we know we're going to have longer codes, so the fields need to be able to accommodate more characters. Lytec 2014 definitely has that. Codes don't fit on superbills anymore. 7-page superbill just doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore. Lytec actually developed a mobile app for the iOS operating system, that would be your iPhone or your iPad, which was available in Lytec 2013 and has been out for quite some time now. If you're not going to adopt an EHR, then that's the next best thing. It'll allow you to take an iPad around room to room, and there really is no limit to how big those superbills can be, and it still makes a lot of sense from a carrying perspective. There is going to be a hard and fast switchover date, so we're going to have to assign dates to insurance companies in Lytec to control whether or not that insurance company gets sent an ICD-9 or an ICD-10. The fact that there's no 1-to-1 ratio and that there's more codes means that we're going to have some code import tools to help you get that information in the system as quickly and easily as possible. And finally, the fact that claims might need both ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes, because maybe the primary does accept ICD-10s but the secondary does not, well, we need to make sure that the diagnosis codes can have both. I'm going to go to Lists, Diagnosis Codes. And what I've got up here is diabetes. This is the original ICD-9 diabetes that came with the system, but I'm going to go ahead and look up the ICD-10 version. And the reason is because the ICD-10 version has both an ICD-10 code associated with it and an ICD-9 code associated with it. Note that the diagnosis code up here, this is not what prints on a claim, but what you enter into the system, is actually the same as the ICD-10 code. This is the way the system is set up and we recommend. Now, you can still put anything you want into the diagnosis code field, but we're recommending that you start utilizing ICD-10 codes the moment you get your Lytec 2014. So it makes sense to have the diagnosis code up here be the same as the ICD-10 code. How, you might ask, does Lytec know whether to include an ICD-9 or an ICD-10 on a claim? There are two factors that help us determine this. The first is the insurance company on the claim. As you can see, Lytec has added two fields to the bottom of the claim screen, which help guide to making the correct decision. The first is which code we would use on claims right now. The second field is when we will start using ICD-10 codes. By default, this should be 10/1/2014. But as you know, Some insurance companies are going to be delayed. To make things a little easier for us, you will not have to go into each insurance company and manually set this field. Lytec has included a tool which will help you automatically set the ICD-10 date for all or large portions of your insurance companies. All you have to do is select which insurances will be ready for ICD-10 and indicate when. Click the Update button and you're done. You also will not likely have to hand enter thousands of ICD-10 codes. The built-in ICD-10 mapping tool will automatically add ICD-10 codes to your system based on the ICD-9 codes you already have. All you have to do is select the code or codes you would like to have ICD-10s for and click the Create button. It will immediately add the ICD-10 code to your system. Mappings may be on a one-to-one basis or, because of ICD-10's more specific nature, on a one-to-many basis. In this case, you can see that I can create 2 new ICD-10 codes to replace my 1 Sunburn code. Note that the tool is not a replacement for Encoder Pro, because not all ICD-10 codes will have an associated ICD-9, but it's a great way to hit the ground running, and the tool can be run as often as you would like for all of your practices. So where do we go from here? There are other resources available to you. You can always contact your friendly neighborhood Lytec reseller or PSS at 877-527-2407 or www.pssontheweb.com. Or CMS.gov actually has some pretty decent resources out there. We've got an ICD-10 coding tool as well as an ICD-10 small to medium business checklist and timeline listed here. If you have any questions, as always, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at 877-527-2407. And we hope you've enjoyed this presentation on Lytec 2014. Thank you kindly and have a great day.